Hey, second graders, I hope you had fabulous weekends and got in some great family time. This week in writing, we are going to dive into poetry, which I know I mentioned on Friday when we worked on our I Love You Because poems for Mother's Day. So I'm very excited. Poetry is actually one of my favorite units in writing to teach because it's fun, it's creative, we can get silly, and it's just a great time for each of you to showcase your own personal ideas. And without further ado, I am going to read some poems from Where the Sidewalk Ends by Shel Silverstein. So my students have definitely heard me talk about Shel Silverstein before. He's one of my favorite poets, and he writes the most fun, silly, and pretty deep poems. So we are going to read these together. And I want you to think about some noticing and wonderings about what makes poetry and these poems by Shel Silverstein different than paragraph writing and sentence writing that we've been doing for most of this school year. So after you read these poems, you will fill out the Google slide with some noticings and wonderings about poetry. And then we will dive way, way deeper into that once we start our unit this week. So I will begin with Hug-O-War by Shel Silverstein. Hug-O-War. I will not play at tug-o-war. I'd rather play at hug-o-war, where everyone hugs instead of tugs, where everyone giggles and rolls on the rug, where everyone kisses and everyone grins, and everyone cuddles, and everyone wins. This next one is actually my favorite Shel Silverstein poem, and some of you might have actually heard this before. It's called Listen to the Mustn'ts. Listen to the mustn'ts, child. Listen to the don'ts. Listen to the shouldn'ts, the impossibles, and the won'ts. Listen to the never haves, then listen close to me. Anything can happen, child. Anything can be. Our next poem is called Smart, and it's all about money, and it's supposed to be goofy. So I want you to think as I read the poem called Smart to you, what is the main character in this poem doing that is just not right or not that smart? My dad gave me $1 bill because I'm his smartest son, and I swapped it for 2 shiny quarters because 2 is more than 1. And then I took the quarters and traded them to Lou for 3 dimes. I guess he didn't know that 3 is more than 2. Just then along came old blind Bates, and just 'cause he can't say, he gave me 4 nickels for my 3 dimes, and 4 is more than 3. Uh-oh. And I took the nickels to Hiram Coombs down at the seed feed store, and the fool gave me 5 pennies for them, and 5 is more than 4. And then I went and showed my dad, and he got red in the cheeks and closed his eyes and shook his head, too proud of me to speak. Now, do we think his dad is actually really proud of him? No, not so much, because we know it doesn't matter the number of coins you have. It matters what value those coins are. So 2 quarters is 50 cents. That's still more than 5 pennies, which is only 5 cents. Our next poem, Hector the Collector. This is a longer one. Hector the Collector collected bits of string, collected dolls with broken heads and rusty bells that would not ring, pieces out of picture puzzles, bent up nails and ice cream sticks, twists of wires, worn out tires, paper bags, and broken bricks, old ship vases, half shoelaces, Gatling guns that wouldn't shoot, leaky boats that wouldn't float, and stopped up horns that wouldn't toot, butter knives that had no handles, copper keys that fit no locks, rings that were too small for fingers, dried up leaves and patched up socks, worn out belts that had no buckles, electric trains that had no tracks, airplane models, broken bottles, 3-legged chairs, and cups with cracks. Hector the Collector loved these things with all his soul, loved them more than shining diamonds, loved them more than glistening gold. Hector called to all the people, "Come and share my treasure trunk." And all the silly, sightless people came and looked and called it junk. we've got 2 more poems that we're going to read. This next one is called No Difference. Small as a peanut, big as a giant, we're all the same size when we turn off the light. Rich as a sultan, poor as a mite, we're all worth the same when we turn off the light. Red, black, or orange, yellow, or white, we all look the same when we turn off the light. So maybe the way to make everything right is to just reach out and turn off the light. Our final poem that we're going to read together is called Traffic Light. The traffic light simply would not turn green, so the people stopped to wait. As the traffic rolled and the wind blew cold and the hour grew dark and late. Zoom vroom, trucks and trailers, bikes and limousines, clattering by, me oh my, won't that light turn green? But the days turned weeks and the weeks turned months, and there on the corner they stood, twiddling their thumbs till the changing comes the way good people should. And if you walk by that corner now, you may think it's rather strange to see them there as they hopefully gaze with the very same smile on their very same face as they patiently stand in the very same place and wait for the light to change. So those are some of my favorite poems from Shel Silverstein. Please take some time, read these over again with an adult at home, an older sibling, or anyone that you think would enjoy these poems. Or if you have a younger sibling and you would like to read to them, I am attaching copies of these so you can watch this video again, follow along at home, and don't forget to fill out the Google Slides organizer for your noticing and wonderings about how these poems are written. And this week we're going to dive deep into it and learn how to write poems of our very own. Thanks, everyone.